Can RJ Harvey in his rookie season find a way to hold down the lead back role for the Denver Broncos? How will Sean Payton's play calling be affected by the extended absence of J.K. Dobbins? And what is the path back to contention for Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes? All things to come on today's rundown. Thank you so much for joining us. While you're here, make sure you like and subscribe to our Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan YouTube channel. You can find us at Denver Sports 104.3 on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you're watching us on Facebook or X, we appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and turn on those post notifications so that you never miss a moment with us. Plenty to get into today, and I want to welcome in friend of the show, friend of the station, number 30 on the field, number 1 in your heart, Philip Lindsay, co-host of The Drive with Zach By and Philip Lindsay from 2 to 6 every afternoon. What's going on, Phil?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me. It's always a fun time when I get to talk a little crap with you, Richie.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, as if we don't do it enough in the hallways basically every day. Let's just do it on camera this time with a couple of microphones. That sounds good to me.
Let's get after it, man. Where you want to start with things?
Well, I want to start with the only logical person, in my opinion, at the station to talk to. If I want to talk about RJ Harvey, the running back situation for the Denver Broncos, is former Denver Broncos running back. And you've been able to observe this organization from the inside and out over the better part of the last decade or so. Nobody on our staff knows that position, that mindset, that mentality, and that responsibility better than you. And
Smart man, Richie. Smart man.
See, every now and then, right?
Thinking of me, man.
So I figured I had to get you on today to ask you about what your overall thoughts have been about the Broncos offense, the way that it ran the ball with J.K. Dobbins and RJ Harvey's supplementary role, how things have changed now that we saw a one-game sample size against Kansas City, and then projecting it forward. So let's start at the beginning there, Phil. With the Broncos offense, the way it operated from a run game perspective with J.K. Dobbins, what made it so successful to be able to statistically call themselves one of the best run games in the league?
That it came down to J.K. Dobbins, a guy that honestly we got for so cheap. I mean, he was sitting there for months before the Denver Broncos decided to jump on the J.K. Dobbins train and give him a little bit of money. And for J.K. has been a good running back in this league for 4 or 5 years now. When you go and you look at his stats, the man is averaging 5 yards a carry, which is so hard to do in the league. Literally, every time that man touches the ball, it's 5 yards, it's 7 yards, it's a chunk play, which is insane to think. The only thing that has been wrong with J.K. Dobbins in his career is staying healthy and having significant injuries. It's not just an ankle sprain when it comes to J.K. It's always been some type of surgery that has hindered him from getting 1,000 yards. Literally, J.K. could have had 1,000 yards when he first stepped foot into the league with the Baltimore Ravens. He could have had 1,000 yards with the Chargers, and he could have definitely had 1,000 yards with the Denver Broncos if he could have stayed healthy. The thing about J.K. Dobbins that I'm impressed with and was impressed with is, one, the patience of him understanding the scheme, understanding that you have to let plays develop and setting your offensive alignment up for success with your eyes, with your body. But also when the hole is there, he hits it 100 miles an hour. He stays on his feet. He breaks the tackles. His vision is insane. I mean, there's been a couple of plays, Richie, this year where J.K. Dobbins, he saw the play before the play happened. And there's very few running backs in this league. You got Gibbs, you got Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey. You have Saquon Barkley. I can't forget about him. There's not a lot of running backs in the league that have vision like J.K. Dobbins and can see a play before it even happens. And that's what J.K. was doing. He was feeling himself. This offensive line that Sean Payton and George Payton put together and paid a lot of money for, second highest paid offensive line in the league. They're there to run the damn ball. They get downhill. They do a good job with the double teams, and J.K. did a great job of just mirroring them and just letting plays develop. And so I've been so impressed with J.K., and it's unfortunate that this injury happened to him, and he ended up having to have a surgery because he was well on his way to over 1,000 yards. And the biggest reason why the Denver Broncos offense has been successful is one person and one person only, and that's J.K. Dobbins.
Yep, that is 100% I think J.K. Dobbins has been the Broncos' best overall offensive player through the first 11 games of the season. And in a familiar fashion, the same thing that has ultimately ended J.K. Dobbins' NFL seasons prematurely up to this point in his career. History repeated itself against the Denver Broncos, and now Denver is faced with a situation where they did not make a move at the deadline for any kind of help in the running back room. They invested a second-round pick in RJ Harvey to complement the handful of practice squad call-up backs that are there with Tyler Badea and now Jaleel McLaughlin.
Yeah.
And RJ's got a big task in front of him now, because for all the good that we've seen from the Denver Broncos in terms of, being a 9-win team, having the best record, tied for in the AFC and the NFL, the run game was a huge part of what made the offense successful. And without it, I think it calls a lot of question into whether or not what we've seen from the Broncos through weeks 1 through 11 is sustainable down a back stretch where they've put themselves in a great position to capitalize. And now there's a little bit of uncertainty. So when you have watched RJ Harvey throughout the draft process and the scout combine, and now here in Denver as it's being implemented real time in Sean Payton's offense, what does RJ Harvey do well that Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos can now capitalize on without J.K. Dobbins there to supplement?
Yeah, well, when you look at RJ Harvey, one, he's this thicker guy, right? Lower body is really thick. He's low to the ground. He does have this toughness to him. If you ever watch him when he's running and somebody's trying to hit him, he's not afraid to lower that shoulder. RJ Harvey will cram it up in there, and he does have the speed once he gets out there, as we got to see against the Dallas Cowboys when things were blocked up well. RJ Harvey was able to showcase his speed, his explosiveness. The first game of the year against the Tennessee Titans, going for that 50-yard run, and it was well blocked, but also he did a great job of getting inside, making a good move, and getting back outside. RJ Harvey also has impressed me with catching out of the backfield. That's something that in today's game you have to be able to do. You have to be an all-around running back. Now, I do understand in order for RJ Harvey to take that next step, he needs to be able to break tackles when he's running the ball, catching out of the backfield, but also blocking. That's something that will keep you around the league for forever. You have to be able to block, especially in today's game where it's a lot more pass first, run second. They have to be able to trust you in the blocking situations so that you can get in some type of rhythm and you can stay in the game. And the only way to get into rhythm, you got to stay in the game and be able to do it all. So I like what I'm seeing from RJ when it comes to catching out of the backfield, when it comes to being explosive when it's there. But he needs to do more now. He's going to get more opportunities, and he needs to take advantage of them. Not everything is going to be blocked out well for you. I wish it was. There would be times where I'm like, dang, I wish that this offensive lineman would just get up to the second level a little bit faster, and now I have an open hole. But what makes Saquon Barkley, Gibbs, Bijan Robinson great running backs is that sometimes there's nothing there, and they can make something out of it. Right. And you look up and you're like, wow, how did they just do that? And you can feel them. Right? Like there's certain running backs that you can just feel. And RJ Harvey right now, he needs to take his game to that level that every time he touches that ball, a defense gets afraid, gets scared that something good can happen for the Denver Broncos. And right now, there's times where it's like defenses are like, look, you don't put fear in us. And we're gonna let you run the ball, and we're gonna stop the pass because we know that Bo Nix is a threat when it comes to throwing the ball, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant. So their teams are going to force Denver to run and beat them on the ground until RJ Harvey can open up and show Broncos country, show these other teams that you give me an opportunity, I'm going to take it and I'm going to run with it, and I can hurt you because I have the athletic ability. I have the ability to be a really good running back in this league.
Well, the Broncos, in my estimation, did not run the ball well against the Kansas City Chiefs, and there's factors that go into that. RJ had to kind of be thrust into the starting role. J.K. Dobbins' status was kind of murky there for a little bit. He didn't have a lot of time to truly practice with all the reps, and I know you've talked with Zach about the importance of that when you're going into your preparation during a game week, but it was just good enough to get the W, right? And there's something about, hey, it wasn't great, but it was good enough. And I think you heard a little bit of that from RJ Harvey after the game. Our own Andrew Mason was in the locker room after the victory against the Chiefs and took this from RJ Harvey.
Yeah, it was all right. Had an all right game. I know JK would have a good game if he was here. sad that he's down, and wishing speedy and healthy recovery for him. And just like I said, great team win. Happy for the guys, and like I said, only up from here.
I think you hear a little bit of self-awareness there from RJ Harvey, Phil. Did you get that when he says, like, hey, it was all right. It was okay. I think JK would have had a good game if he was in there. He went on to say that he's proud of some of the things that he did and kind of stepping up and being able to do just enough. But I think you hear it in his voice there that he knows, just like they know, we got away with it against Kansas City. We made it work, but it's got to be better moving forward, right?
Hey, RJ is no dummy. All right, and anybody knows that. I mean, like, when you have a good game, you know you have a good game. When you don't, and you don't get the yards, and that you miss a couple holes when you go back and you watch film, which he will go and do, he's going to be mad at himself and be like, dang, I could have had a 15, 20-yard gain, and I ended up having 2 yards. And that's just a young running back that's forcing things instead of letting the game come to him. But now that there isn't a J.K. Dobbins that's sitting right in front of him, he's going to be able to relax more. He's going to be able to take more chances, right? When you take more chances, yeah, there's risk that there's going to be some negative plays, but also there's more of a high reward aspect to it when you're able to take these chances and get into a groove, get into a rhythm, knowing that if you mess up, you're going to get the next chance. You may get the second run, a consecutive run, so that you can get into that rhythm, into a groove. So I think that you're going to see a more comfortable RJ Harvey this game coming up after the bye, where he's just knowing that, hey, I'm the guy right now. Now, I will say this, like, chances will run out for you if you can't get it done. If there are open holes and you're not hitting the hole, if there are chances for you to break big runs and you're not doing that, then it's going to be the next man up approach. And the thing with running backs is you can go running back by committee. So you ride the hot hand. If RJ Harvey's doing well, you keep running him. If he's not, you go with Jaleel McLaughlin until he runs out. So that's the luxury of having running backs, that multiple running backs are going to play in a game. So for RJ Harvey, one thing that he needs to do is just be himself. There's way too many times in the league and college where you're battling with another guy and they're having success. Just like anything you do, you look at what they're doing and you want to mimic it. But you also have to understand that that's what makes them them. I've had multiple times in my career where a running back is battling with me and I'm doing well with a certain play. Let's just say the counter play, because I did a really good job back in the day of setting up counters. And they would pick my brain, but also they would start to try to do things like me. And it's like, you can't do things like me because you're not me. You're 220 pounds. I'm 185 pounds. The way that I see the game may be different than you. So you have to make sure that you stay true to yourself. And if RJ Harvey can do that, which is what got him here in the first place, he will be better off. He is not J.K. Dobbins. He is RJ Harvey, and that is okay. Once he finds himself and is okay with himself as a running back, which got him here, he'll have more success.
Be coachable, be malleable, be able to pivot and adjust, but don't forget what got you to the stage that you're on in the first place. I like that. And I think, listen, the situation that RJ Harvey has found himself in now is exactly what he was drafted to be. Yes, he was drafted before they acquired J.K. Dobbins, but they acquired J.K. Dobbins for obvious reasons. And RJ Harvey not being the starter to start the year means, hey, if anything happens to a running back whose season in the NFL has ended early virtually every year of his career, or at a minimum, he's missed time for stretches of a season, you are that guy. J.K. Dobbins allows for an on-ramp and a slow kind of adjustment to the NFL game, especially for a runner who had a specific style at UCF that maybe doesn't match what Sean Payton is doing here in Denver. And that runway has kind of reached its end. And now it is time for RJ Harvey to do exactly what the Denver Broncos and George Payton and Sean Payton invested in him to do. And the only thing that magnifies it is that, boy, the stakes really couldn't be much higher for a team that's tied atop the AFC in terms of record and has legitimate postseason aspirations beyond just, hey, let's get into a wild card with a rookie quarterback and see what happens. No, this is a team, Phil, that has legitimate Super Bowl contention aspirations. And it makes it even crazier that their head coach called it out before the season. So RJ Harvey certainly has a lot of pressure on him, and there are other backs that can complement that in a committee style of setting, like you mentioned. But I think if RJ Harvey is not the leader of that committee, if he's not the president of the Broncos running back club, I don't think it spells good things for the Denver Broncos on the back half of this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way of thinking of it. I will say this. RJ Harvey has a lot of pressure put on him, but that's because of Sean and George drafting him in the second round. So for Sean and George, and specifically Sean, because he's the head coach and he's also the offensive coordinator, he has to find RJ Harvey's strengths and play RJ Harvey to his strengths, but also be more creative. I say this all the time, and some people get upset with me or they get tired of me saying this, but you have to help a running back out by being creative with your play calling scheme. What I mean by that is pullers, whether it's the guard pulling, whether it's the tackle pulling, the misdirection plays, even if you have Bo Nix having that run option where he can hand the ball off and run it, like anything to be creative to help these young running backs out and give them bigger lanes. That's what Sean Payton needs to do. Now for RJ Harvey, the time is now. This is your time to shine. You're not necessarily considered a rookie now because you're at the end of the year. Yes, you're a rookie. Okay, yes, you still need more opportunities and more reps, but this is your time. Take advantage of it. Hit that dang hole when it's there. Set up the play as long as you can, but don't overset it up to where you miss the hole. And also for RJ, it's okay to take 3 yards, 4 yards. Just be consistent in what you do. Keep those legs turning. But I will also say this. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Jaleel McLaughlin ends up being the starting running back because of his running style. He's not a big dude. He's just like me. And I'm not saying Jaleel McLaughlin is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But when it comes to running hard, being decisive, that one cut, get vertical, that's Jaleel McLaughlin for you. And you saw it a couple times in the Chiefs game where he got 4 yards, 5 yards. He was able to get the touchdown. So Sean trusts him enough that he's handing him the ball, Jaleel's 185 pounds. He's handing him the ball in the red zone at the 1 yard line for a touchdown. So for Jaleel, I would not be surprised if Jaleel takes advantage of his opportunity because he knows, like, wow, I have a great opportunity in front of me. I've been sitting there active, which means I'm getting paid, but I'm not dressing. Now I finally get a chance to dress, put some more film out there, because if I'm not here next year, I need some film. I need to take advantage of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone like RJ Harvey doesn't feel a little pressure from Jaleel. And even for Tyler Bidet, he's his third down back, and he has struggled catching out of the backfield for some reason. But one thing I've always admired about Tyler Bidet is he can run well inside. And we need more running backs right now, whether it's Jaleel, RJ, or Tyler Bidet, to run well inside. If you want to be a good running back in this league, you have to be able to run inside out. Get inside there where all the junk is. They call it all the trash. But once you get inside there and you get outside, you find a way to leak back outside, there's not a lot of trash there anymore. You may have a one-on-one opportunity with a cornerback, and now it's about foot speed. Now it's about, can I get to point A to point B faster than this safety or cornerback? So the success of the Denver Broncos moving forward, yes, it's going to be a pass first, run second approach because they don't have J.K. Dobbins, but they have to be able to keep defenses honest, and defenses have to be able to respect the run game. And Sean's going to have to stick with the run game long enough to still open up the pass.
Boy, I think if Jaleel McLaughlin was announced as the starting running back, or if that's how the carries started to shake out on a early game basis here as the Broncos get going after their bye week, I think that would bring out a lot of Dragon Slayer 69s on social media. And it would be like, hey, well, what do you mean the second round rookie that we drafted, the backup to J.K. Dobbins, is not going to be moved into the starter? And somebody who was not even a full-time committed starter last year and hasn't even dressed for every game this year suddenly leapfrogs it.
Well, but see, this the thing though, Richie, before you go on, and I know we got you ready to go. The thing about the running back position is you can let RJ Harvey start the game off. If you remember 2018, Richie, I wasn't announced a starter until week 9, week 10. I was always the third string running back every time that roster would come out. But in the running back room, it's a running back by committee. You can play multiple running backs in that game. You can put 2 running backs on the field at the same time. So it may look like, hey, RJ Harvey is starting the game, but when you go and you look at the stat sheet, maybe someone like Jaleel or Tyler Bidet end up with 10 or 11 touches, and RJ ends up with 7 or 8. That's what they would do.
Well, what I was going to say is what it would allow that I think would not be as obvious on the surface, but maybe be better in the long run when you're talking about the use of a committee or strength in numbers, is that it would allow RJ Harvey to still maintain some semblance of a role that he's already carved out, which has been a reasonably good pass catching running back out of the backfield. And then you have Tyler Bidet in there. You know, Sean loves Tyler's pass protection. He's also been kind of a screen target at many points throughout this season. So I think that you're obviously not going to be able to replicate J.K. Dobbins' production and his impact on the offense in a one-to-one setting. But I do think it's going to be fascinating to see how Sean Payton takes the three backs that he now has remaining, assuming they don't go out and sign or bring in any other bodies, and which they could, and divvies that out, because they all seem to have a little bit of different strengths. Jalil's kind of a speed scat back kind of guy. Tyler Bidet has some success running between the tackles and clearly a pass blocker. And RJ Harvey has a lot of runway and potential, but has already kind of established a niche as a really good pass catching back for Bo Nix out of the backfield. Phil, before we transition here, because I know we got a few minutes left, I have to ask you the same question that I've asked every guest on the show this week. We have a weekly poll question that we put out. After the win over Kansas City, without Patrick Surtain, without Alex Singleton, your green dot, without J.K. Dobbins, your starting running back, so no best defensive player, no best offensive player, no signal caller on defense, have the Denver Broncos, with a win over KC and the #1 record in the AFC, proven that they are Super Bowl contenders in 2025, in your eyes?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. The defense is well put together. It's not just about one player. All right, that pass rush is insane, and they will break the record this year with the most sacks. You have two safeties in Hufanga and Brandon Jones that are flying around. Riley Moss, Chris Abrams-Drain, Jahdae Barron, they're stepping up. All right, offensively, you still have Troy Franklin and Pat Bryant that are starting to come into their own. Like, it's starting to look a little clearer where their roles are at. And if they're confident and they play with confidence, they can be really scary. Cortland Sutton, we finally got him more involved on third downs. Shocker. We were able to win because of Court picking up a couple big-time third downs. In Bo Nix, we know what Bo Nix can bring to this table when he's confident. And I always say this, and Coach Mike McIntyre had told us this when I used to play for the Buffaloes. Knowledge equals confidence equals playing fast. And last Sunday, you had Bo Nix, who was confident in his abilities and confident in the game plan. He was out there playing fast, making plays without thinking. That's who Bo Nix needs to continue to be. That's what he was at the end of last year. That's what he needs to be with these 6 games left going into the playoffs. And, of course, you got Sean Payton. Sean Payton's getting paid $19 million a year. There's a reason for that. The man knows how to win. He has won a Super Bowl. This is his offense. He knows how to build a culture. So, without a doubt, the Denver Broncos are Super Bowl contenders, and they're scary. And if I was a team that's wanting to get to the Super Bowl, I would be scared to play them damn Denver Broncos.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to watch how they come out of their late bye, are able to regroup and push forward on a AFC race, maybe not an AFC West race, but a race atop the AFC that I think is going to be fascinating to see which team ends up with a first round bye, who's hosting a playoff game, and how those 3 wildcard seeds shake out. Phil, you mentioned the Colorado Buffaloes. You got the shirt on. I can see it there. You're always a proud supporter of the black and gold. So briefly here before we go, I do have to ask you, which means it's time to hit the turn, presented by the Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar experience. Check them out online or on Instagram at thebirdie.bar. Phil, when it comes to Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes, obviously this season did not go the way that many up in Boulder and certainly many in the fan base probably would have liked or thought that it might transpire, considering what the success they had with Shedeur, Travis, etc. But there was, in my opinion, at least a little bit of a glimmer of hope in the loss against West Virginia. Yes, it was a loss, but I think the silver lining was you got a performance from Julian Lewis that should at least let you, especially considering the quarterback play we've seen for the majority of their season thus far, say, hey, maybe there's something we can build around there. If we bring in a couple more pieces, we get on the recruiting trail maybe a little bit, we figure out some changes potentially with the coordinator situation underneath Coach Prime, 2026 could look better than 2025. And I thought it was interesting to hear Coach Prime in his press conference availability yesterday basically give an answer in a moment of self-reflection of himself and if a reflection and evaluation of his staff, of the program as a whole, and how things didn't go that way, but why he thinks there's hope for the future. Take a listen.
Please understand, if anybody is built for adversity, I am. If anybody is built for change, I am. If anybody is built to overcome situations and trial and tribulations, I am. You got the right man. I promise you, you do. And I'm going to prove that to you. I am. Just give me an opportunity and give me a little more time, and I'm going to prove that to you. I will. I promise you that.
You know, Phil, we hear Coach Prime step in front of a microphone and say a lot of things. But I actually, when I heard him say that, when I watched his live stream, and he laid out there, you know, if anybody's built for adversity, it's me. And almost in a way that was not necessarily talking from a position of cockiness or swagger, but almost like a pleading of like, I'm this guy. I'm him. Please just give me the opportunity to show you that what you brought me in here to do is something that I can accomplish. And I thought maybe it just hit my ear that way, but that's how I took it. And I thought it was really refreshing, considering the fact that many of the frustrations that we've had with Coach Prime in this Buffs program have come from changes that should have been made that haven't or happened too late, lack of corrections on a week-to-week basis from game management to play calling, and perhaps, you know, certain in-game decisions that get ignored. And Phil, I just am starting to try to piece things together for a projection up in Boulder where I said, okay, if you've got Julian Lewis with a redshirt year essentially underneath him, played a little bit of action. He's got like one more start probably before the end of the season to preserve his redshirt. He comes in 2026. Coach Prime, with that attitude that he just displayed and, you know, the pleading with the fan base and with the media to say, hey, just trust me and give me this opportunity. Where is your level of confidence at? And where is the meter kind of turning positively or negatively around the Colorado Buffaloes from your perspective as someone who's as close to the program as you are?
Well, first, that was the first time that I actually like listened to Coach Prime and it sounded sincere. Like he was vulnerable in his response and what he was trying to get across. And I love to hear it. And he's a human being. And he does have emotions. He is going to mess up. He is learning. Like, this is his first time truly being in the Power 4 level and being a head coach with one team for multiple years. And he had the first year was shaky. The second year was fantastic. Then you lose a bunch of players to the NFL. And now for him, it comes down to coaching. It comes down to putting people around you that you can trust. You're only as good as the coaches around you. And I think he's starting to realize that now, that this is about winning. All right, it's about performance. And you only stick around if you're performing at a high level, whether you're a player or a coach. But you have to have the right pieces in order to win in the Big 12. And it's not just the players. Richie, I think that they had the players this year. They were in some of these games, actually a lot of these games where you could have beat BYU. You could have beat Georgia Tech at the beginning of the year. You end up upsetting Iowa State. Why? Because you do have the talent. I've been up there. I've seen these kids and how big they are and how fast and how unique they are. I've seen Juju and what he looks like as a baby. And it's like, imagine what he's going to look like with more reps and with a guy, an offensive coordinator that has a vision for him that is creative. That's what they need. So for Coach Prime, I think he is taking that step back and looking at himself first, saying, what do I need to do to be better? I will take the blame for all of this. Like, Akon, you can put the blame on me. But also, he's like, the people around me. I have to start getting rid of those bad apples, or someone would say turds, right? Somebody that like the coaches around me that I can't trust. And it starts with maybe the offensive coordinator. If you think the defensive coordinator needs to leave, you may have to do that too. But whoever you bring in to come in and be your offensive defensive coordinator, to come in and be some of your position coaches, they have to have the same mindset as you. And also, they have to be able to coach the X's and O's. This is what this team is missing. It's just a fundamentally sound football team that when they step foot on that football field, They're confident. They have the ability. But now it comes down to coaching, discipline, the coaching when it comes to the play calls and the schemes, being creative. So Coach Prime needs to take that step back, which I think he is doing. And he needs to make sure that he puts the right coaches in with him, side by side with him, so that they can win these games. Because they do have the athletic ability. They do have these young players, and they will continue to because of who Coach Prime is. He's a motivator. You want to play for him, but now Coach Prime needs to bring in coaches. This is true. Coaches that may be able to coach better than him so that they can win these games. It's all there, and I do believe that Coach Prime will get things turned around this next year. He knows he has to. There's a lot of pressure on him.
I love it. This season for the Colorado Buffaloes is winding down, but it's going to be an off season and a transitionary period that I think we're going to see some maybe potentially significant change. And I think there's going to be a nice fresh wind blowing into the Buffs' sails going into the 2026 season that will hopefully get things closer to what we saw in 2024. And this 2025 is just a blip on the radar before things are ticking back in the right direction. Phil, thank you so much for joining me today. Appreciate all the work that you do on the drive. Appreciate your insight on the running back position, on your alma mater, the Colorado Buffaloes. And I will catch you and Zach on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan in just a little bit.
Thank you, man.
You got it. To the rest of you out there, have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. We appreciate you. Like and subscribe to our Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Hit me up in the comments. I will be back to respond to them as soon as I possibly can. And watch us on Facebook, X, TikTok, wherever you consume your sports media and entertainment media. We have it there for you at Denver Sports 104.3. We'll catch you tomorrow at noon for the next rundown.
I do what I love what I do. Second nature to put in the work.